Kiss. Keep it simple, stupid.
Tony boy.
I'm paranoid, I'm paranoid, I'm paranoid, bitch, I'm paranoid, I'm paranoid, I'm paranoid, I'm paranoid, bitch, I'm paranoid.
Testicles, 1, 2. Testicles. Welcome back to episode 196. Damn. Sounds fucking good to say. Everybody, welcome back. This is Trebles Garcia, and this is the humble show called Paranoid Radio Podcast, and this is a weekly episode drop show. You can find us at paranoidradio.com. I want to thank the Lord for allowing me to be here today, and I want to thank all of you guys for tuning back in and allowing me to enter your space. Drop a 5-star review on Apple Podcasts that allows other people to enjoy the show as much as I enjoy making it. Ladies and gentlemen, I have an amazing episode lined up with another amazing special guest. Please allow me to jump in from deep into the pool and set the mood. The story of the Great Flood is widely documented and one of the most known stories in the Bible. Yet, once again, we find out that the story was written thousands of years ago, before the Bible ever existed. Today, we continue to explore the amazing and undermined chronicles of the Sumerian tablets, the cedars, the Anunnaki, and the origins of the past and our creation with one of the most iconic and talented persons I've ever had the privilege to share moments with. Aside with being a patriot, he's also a light-bearing and a high-frequency performing individual. Please give a warm welcome to one of the biggest voices in our production, formerly known as the host of the Fail Academy podcast and now media-producing mogul, RogueOneMedia.com's very own JB from the Renegade family of light on Instagram. What's going on, brother?
The Chronicles.
The Chronicles of our creation,
the Origin Chronicles. I love it, man. I hope the audience loves it too. It seems like they do. That we're getting a lot of listening-ship, and they seem to be gravitating towards it. We're going to keep doing it then. They want to hear this. Listen, what we're doing is just literally flipping the entire story upside down on its head that we've been told, flipping religion upside down and really just dissecting it. Nobody else is doing that that I've seen. There's Billy Carson. He's a big influence. And he's been exposing the whole truth thing, but nobody talks about these origins, these tablets, these stories that existed before the Bible, and we're doing it. We're putting it out there, and it's big stuff, man. It's going to change a lot of people's beliefs, and it should. Beliefs are made to be changed because we carry them for as long as they hold up, and once they don't hold up no more, we have to be willing to just move on and establish new beliefs that fit what we see and what we are aligned with.
That's right. I want to thank you for coming on the show again. I love your fucking hat, by the way. I love the content that you're putting out. You always do amazing. You take care, you chop it up, you freaking do the editing exquisitely. Fuck, dude. I don't know where you find the time to do it. I have to balance work and shuffle the fucking podcast around and have kids around. And I want to thank you again for all the production that you do for the show, not only for me, but also for the listeners that get to enjoy this content. Make sure you check them out, ladies and gentlemen, at Renegade Family of Light on Instagram. Blowing the fuck up. I see that you're also doing putting out a lot of content, and you're also growing. And you're right next to us right there.
A couple of big hitting posts recently.
Yeah. Now, we were talking about how we were created, how the Anunnaki seeded us. We were supposed to be a slave race. They left. Now we're going to bring back to the origins. And then the first show that we brought in, we demolished man-made religion, copycatted history, storytelling, repackaged and resold to us throughout the ages. Now, today, you're coming in with the story of the flood, which is a world-renowned story that has been proven to have existed. I'm against the grain when it comes to the world climate, because it depends when you look at it. It might seem like from the last ice age, we are now warming up. And this is why we think that we're warming up when we're actually still cooling down. The climate change really, it changes according to the time span window that you look behind it. I don't know if that makes any sense. The more far you look away from time and you expand that timeline, you see that we're actually cooling down, not really warming up. However, talking about the flood, please give it to me, bro. How does the flood connect to the story of the Chronicles of our creation, brother?
The Chronicles continues. Well, it's just fascinating because the more I dig into this, the more I just get more interested in it, because it's so rich and it's so detailed. And while the Bible is written in symbolic metaphors, the ancient Sumerian tablets, they're rich with detail by those who actually witnessed these events. For the fact that they were able to put these records down on clay tablets in such detail, people like to say, "Oh, well, that's imagination, and it's them having stories and fantasy stuff." And listen, if you're going to talk about and you're going to make sure you document stuff because you want to preserve it, you're not going to just start telling fairy tales because it's so in depth and it's such a big event, and all these events are so big. And then when they acknowledge their creators that live among them, people want to dismiss it as if it's just fantasy. Well, then the Bible must be fantasy too, because that's all you're doing with that. But the fact that these are so detailed and yet it's so connected to the Bible, but yet the Bible is after, it's so clear that these are the true stories and the Bible is literally just mimicking it and just copying it. So what I did was I took what these detailed story was for the flood, and I'm going to tell it in story form as it was kind of like told to me. Just start with that, and you can interject anytime you want. But
absolutely.
With over 30,000 tablets discovered in one region alone, it's hard to discredit the first civilization of mankind that kept such detailed libraries of records. The same civilization that gave us agriculture, trade, monetary systems, religion, politics, royalty, judicial systems, architecture, art, literature, fashion, class systems, wars, weapons, divisions of land, music, knowledge of the stars, zodiac, and the recording of time and years. Everything that exists in our daily lives today was born in ancient Sumer. And all the Sumerians credit their deities, the Anunnaki, as being the ones who created them and taught them everything they know about becoming a civilization. They are always acknowledging them. Gods they had lived among them. It's like their gods lived among them and taught them and sat them and showed them, and they were giants and they had all this advanced technology. But in actuality, the Anunnaki were just men. Like, they were advanced men, but that they would be the same as this. We went to a planet where primitive people were on it, and they thought we were gods, and we just played along like, yes, we are gods. Worship us. We will show you the way, which is what they did.
We will do the same thing. Look what happened at Avatar, the movie in Pandora. The same thing. We want the indigenous to worship us and give us all their gold. Absolutely.
So, and since we are a product of them, we come from their genetics, we act like them, we follow in their footsteps, and we conquer, and we have wars, and we want power, we want to be worshipped. Like, we're just an image of them. And when you look at them, they might have mastered immortality. They did master the everlasting life, which they did not share that secret with us. But in actuality, they're just people too, and they're under the same universe that we all are. Prior to the flood, humans, they were kept ignorant with the only purpose of their purpose was to serve as a worker race for mining gold and providing labor. Still, they possessed the genes of the Anunnaki and were able to flourish and progress quickly. Anunnaki, they made wives of these women. They had children with these women that became demigods, Nephilim, pharaohs, prophets, characters in all religions. Thoth, Isis, Horus, Osiris, Enoch, Abraham, Adam, Noah, Moses. Just to name a few. Everything that was written in the religious books, from Egypt to Islam to Jerusalem, it all originated from the Anunnaki gods and their offsprings. The names change, but the stories all trace back to this time and place. Continuing with the story, we pick it up with the flood. And we were talking about that the last time. It was like, how did they know the flood? Did they create the flood? It turns out that they knew the flood was coming. The question is, what caused it and what happened after? At this time, the two brothers, Enki and Enlil, they were becoming more divided when it came to matters pertaining to the Earthlings. Enlil, he didn't like the fact that the Anunnaki were mating with humans. He saw the human population rapidly growing, and he was in fear that the humans were going to one day take over ownership of the earth and become the ruling class.
And we're excellent at fucking populating. Real.
Well, think about it. Like, now that the depopulation agenda that's going on today, it started back then. Basically, he's like, we got to depopulate because they're going to get too many numbers and they're going to overtake us. We're a few and they're becoming the many. But Enki and his sister Nimna, who gave birth to the first child, the Adamu, Adam, they loved humanity. They protected. They wanted to teach us. They wanted us to flourish. We were like their children. They were against that whole idea. They had the council met, and they meet with virtually with Anu on Nibiru, who's the ruler of all the Anunnaki, and then the High Council, the Anunnaki. They have sit downs, and Enlil was arguing his case to basically say humans were created to mine the gold, and that's it, and that job is completed. So there's no reason to have them. They're growing, and the only reason we should keep them is in small numbers to serve us. So this turned out to be a stalemate, and the two sides were locked in on both sides for a long time, until the news came of what was about to approach, which is this big calamity. And it turns out that they understood and they saw that Nibiru was about to orbit Earth's passage in and around the sun. Every 25,000 years, Nibiru does a rotation and shows itself around the Earth. And when it does that, its magnetic pull, because it's a gigantic planet, its magnetic pull just sucks into like the Earth's poles, and it just pulls all that magnetic field and causes the oceans to completely freaking flip, the poles flip.
That's and it's happened before. This is documented by archaeologists where this is what the younger dryas, the older dryas, how the Earth has changed polarities. And not only changed polarities, the seismic activity is huge. And it has completely destroyed. The Earth does not look how the Earth looked 1 million years ago or longer.
The continents, you see the continents millions of years ago, they were like all one big landmass. Then they broke off and they shift. That's because of this stuff. And I believe it's probably what killed the dinosaurs as well. They say it's possibly a meteor that hit the Earth, but this sounds more like it. But
even the color of the water could have had changed with different bacteria coming out, different areas. When the snow, ice melts, et cetera. And then the warming of the planet also causes different bacteria to create, which is why now some of the oceans look red. It's a bacteria that makes the oceans red. And in the Bible, it's depicted as blood. I'm having the connections here, right? Okay.
Right. Yes. Think about the flipping of the freaking poles and just the tsunamis, the earthquakes, the freaking tidal waves, just the ice shears melting. There's no escape. There's nowhere to hide. You just like unless you get off the planet, which is what they decided. They were going to plan for the event and then escape in their ships. And then they were going to cover around Earth's orbit on the far side where Nibiru was passing through. They would be on the other side and just kind of chill, post up until this thing passed, and then come back and survey the damage. That was the agreement. And then Enlil, he made everybody swear an oath not to tell the humans what was coming, so they could just be caught off guard and just get wiped out, and they wouldn't have to explain anything to anybody. And so everybody put their arms up. They gave their oath. They wouldn't say anything until it got to Enki and Nimna, who was crying and sobbing, and she was like I don't want to do this. And then Enki's like, I'm not doing it. And then Enlil freaks out. He freaking starts just about to freaking just lose it on him, talking about how Enki just always defies the ruling order. And so
it's like a sibling fight. These are siblings.
It sounds like Shakespeare. It sounds like fucking Shakespeare, where exactly it's like they're the royal class. They're spoiled brats. They got all the privileges, and then they start fighting with each other because there's no one else to really challenge them. It's totally it's that's where all our stories come from. These fucking royalty gods. And they were royalty on Nibiru. They were the royal ones on Nibiru. On Earth, they were really considered themselves gods. That's what they took it another step above. Exactly. But Anu was the ruler and told Enki to put his arm up and make the oath, because that was his decision. Enki reluctantly, he did it, and that was it. The fate of the Earth was sealed, and humanity's fate was sealed as well. They weren't going to say anything to them and just go about their business. And just let it happen. They made preparations. They got their food, their seeds, their cattle, everything loaded on just for when the time came to just evacuate.
Is this where the Noah's Ark story comes out?
Yes.
Because I remember part of the Bible kind of say that the flood was out to demolish and destroy and cleanse the earth from wickedness, from all the incest, from all the angels having sex with daughters of man, from all these, what are those big giants called again?
Nephilim.
The Nephilim. All these.
It's all true. They did come from those places. In other words, the Anunnaki were the angels in the Bible that were mating with humans. They were having kids. They were having children, and children became giants, and then their children became half-breeds, and they actually became royalty as well. Some of them were not even known about. It was hidden. So it was just commingling going on, and Enlil just saw this as being like just sacrilegious, because they were putting royal blood into these.
So the stories don't really change. They just really repackage the entire thing into.
They really do. And then they twist it to make it for their narrative, and they add tiny little things to make it their version. You have to follow what they say. As we're starting to see this unfold, God's plan, it was a scientific, it was an astronomical event. The planet Nibiru was circling, and that's what caused it. It wasn't God's wickedness. How we get introduced to Noah is when Enki, one night he's sleeping and he has a vision dream from a messenger, and they call a messenger from the creator of all. And they say the creator of all, they're talking about God. And when they talk about God, they're talking in God in singular. It's clear that the Anunnaki worship a single God that is above them, that created the universe, that created everything that exists. They bow and worship that God. That's like what we do. And but they never told that to the humans. They always just presented themselves as the gods, multiple gods, and they didn't teach the humans to worship a single God. They taught the humans to worship them. But in actuality, they worshipped a single God and followed those laws. According to the story, this messenger from God came and spoke to Enki in this vision. And it's not clear who this figure represents in the Bible. I haven't figured out who this messenger is because it's not written in this way in the Bible. This is also where the Greek gods come from, like Zeus, Hercules, Poseidon, like the Vikings had Thor, Odin, the Hindu gods, the zodiac gods. It became from them being the multiple gods of the Anunnaki. And so like Zeus represents like Anu and Poseidon represents Enki. The names change, but they always lead back to the same origins of the Anunnaki. Galzu tells Enki, he's like, humanity must not perish, as this is the will of the creator of all. He instructed Enki to warn his half-human son, his name is Ziasutra, who he secretly had with a human mistress that nobody knew about, and his was later to be known as Noah. Ziasutra is the Noah character in the Bible, but his true name is Ziasutra, and he was a half Anunnaki, half human, royalty blood of Enki. Enki was his father. So instead of God, it was really Enki who came and spoke to him. Galzu instructed Enki to have his son build an ark that would withstand the waters, one that would be sealed all around, that could be submerged without sinking, have him gather livestock and seeds with those who are willing to help build it and save themselves to the future. Enki's like, how am I going to just tell him this? I've never designed such a vessel. And how am I going to give him this message if I've already sworn an oath to secrecy? I can't tell him. So Galzu presented him with a tablet. He said he had a stylus and a tablet. That to me tells me it's like some technological device. That's the way I look at it. He said it was a stylus and a tablet. And on the tablet was the blueprints for the actual ship. And he told Enki to give the message to his son without directly giving it to him. Thereby, he wouldn't be breaking his oath. If he can give him the message without telling him to his face, then he would technically not have broken his oath. That's what he told him. You follow?
He wasn't supposed to tell him directly. He handed him a digital tablet with the
he's saying just give it to him, give him the message, give him the blueprints, have him build it, and that's the message, because you can't just have everybody just get wiped out of humanity. They have to be saved. They have a future. When Enki woke up, he was in a puddle of sweat. He was all shook up, and then he looks over at the end of his bed, and there was the tablet right there in front of, like right in his where he was, and he was like, "Wow, this was a dream, but here is the tablet. This was a real vision, a real message."
It happened for real.
Right, it was in his hand. The dream was the dream, and now it's in his hands, and it was real.
It materialized in.
I have to deliver this message. Went to Ziasutra, and I'm going to continue to call him Ziasutra, but I'll mix in Noah just so we don't get confused. Ziasutra, aka Noah. He went to his house, instructed him to sit by the fire and listen for his voice. He was outside of his house talking to the wall. He's talking to the wall while his son, Ziasutra Noah, is sitting inside hearing his voice, listening to him. And then he told him, he's like, the day of the earth's end is here, and if you want to save yourself, you have to build this ship, and time is short, and I have a tablet for you, and you have to gather the people, and you have to get them to help you, get the grains, get the vegetation, get the cattle, one of each, a male and a female. And do not tell anybody why you're building this, because if Enlil finds out, we'll both hang for this. And you just got to make up a story. Just say, hey, you're building a ship for Enlil as a gift and in his honor, because Enlil was really cruel to the humans, and he was always just brutally abusing them. He was like, maybe I'll get his favor by building this ship and presenting a gift to him. And that's the reason why I'm going to build it, just so he can have an excuse.
Yeah.
Enki told him, he's like, on the day when it's time to go, I'm going to send one of my own Anunnaki emissaries who's a master of the seas, and he's going to help guide you through this whole journey. And when he shows up, that's the day it's time to go. That was it. Noah, Ziusudra, he built this massive ark. He had all the people in the town, the village help him, and he loaded it up. And then the day came, and all of a sudden he saw the Anunnaki guide showed up, and he knew it was time to go. And then that was it. Now the skies are darkening. The sound of crackling thunder starts freaking shaking the earth to its core. All the Anunnaki gods, they start boarding their celestial ships. They start evacuating. Ziusudra, he gets in the ark. He goes to the waters, and he told everybody, get in the ark, or if you stay, death is imminent. But some people went on, and some people stayed because they figured, why would I want to get and go out to sea during a big storm? It's safer to be on land. And that would be true. Normally, that would be true.
Yeah.
I'm not going to go on a ship when I see this huge storm coming. But the ship was the only way out because that storm was coming to the land. So they couldn't really put it together. Some of those people stayed. And then it just started happening. The rain came down like an avalanche. The waters began rising, engulfing the cities. Looking out the hatch, Noah's Ziusudra, the tidal wave coming, and then he just seal the hatch, seal it. So they sealed the entire ark and completely sealed off. All light was cut off. There was pitch black inside the ark. Everybody's jam packed in there. It's sealed, and now all they could do is hear like the roaring sound of the waves, and then the crashing of the waves, and then the sound of the thunder, and then next it's like completely submerged. And it's spinning underwater, and they're getting tossed around. But they were so packed. They were so packed in there that because they were so packed, it prevented them from really getting.
Get out of here, dude!
It was like a package. It was like a package
visualizing that shit
that you would send you want to pack it nice and tight so it doesn't move around. That's what actually helped them, was the fact they were so tightly packed that it kept them from bouncing around on the ark because it's spinning. It must have been a freaking nightmare.
And this is all because the message said humanity cannot perish.
Yes, humanity must survive. There's a future for humanity to progress, and this is their shot. Build the ark. This will save them, and that's the way God wants it this way.
Seeding other planets should be galactically illegal, bro.
Listen, I'm not against it. I'm totally not against the fact that we were created by this, because if we weren't created, we would still be walking around like a bunch of baboons. Like we would it would take millions of years for us to even progress to having a basic.
They've proven that. They've said that the evolution theory is completely out of date. That carbon dating doesn't even go back to its root. That's it. It doesn't. It's never going to be accurate. And even fossils do not take that long to fossilize. It's fucking weird, bro. It's fucking. It
they make up shit as they go. They put it in a book, and we got to accept it. Just like anything else, they just say this is 10 million years old. How the fuck are you telling me how fucking old this thing could possibly be? And they said the pyramids are like 4,000 years old. Those things are freaking like 100,000 years old.
And even those fucking fishes, bro. Even those fishes that they find that they have been completely plastidized and layered down and compressed and then made into a fossil. Even that is inaccurate. When fish die, they float. And when they fall onto the bottom of the sea, they get eaten up. And even bones get eaten up by crabs and little critters almost immediately. Yeah. It's really hard to understand that millions of years pass by for this fish to fossilize.
Right, they know. Like they'll say even 100 million years for a rock or something.
Yeah.
So as in the book, it says this is continued for 40 days and 40 nights. So that was in line with what the Bible said, and it was without mercy. Rain poured down with like a fury, never pausing for 40 days and 40 nights. It was like a peak storm, like that never slowed down. Can you imagine you have a storm, and when you get to that really hard part of the storm, but it's usually a short period of time and then it kind of just subsides.
Yeah.
That stuff was just coming down like
get out, dude.
At
Look
full
at the
scale.
damage. Look at the damage it has.
Dude, mountains, like the highest mountains were gone. Like that, they just, can you imagine I'm at the tip of the mountain, I'm safe? Nope. The fucking mountains were
the weight of the water alone, combined with the speed of the wind, of hurricane speeds, could knock out trees off the roots of the ground, make them fly across the air. I'm talking about like nothing.
I mean,
you've seen tsunamis.
You've seen tsunamis do it. Imagine that times the fucking 1,000. Like You know, tsunami, you just wipe out freaking cities. This is the magnitude that was coming at them.
Yeah.
I mean, the terror that they must have felt inside that boat. Like, listen, think about this. Like, you all you have is pitch black. All you're doing is just getting knocked around. You get knocked around like a rag doll for 40 days and 40 nights, and you have no idea when it's going to end. And like, talk about seasickness, forget about it. Like, you can't see.
This is the entire world. This is the entire world is cycling out different. It's fixing itself. It's trying to gather its wits again and combine and get its magnetic poles back to action and get back to orbit with this. Yeah,
the Earth was suffering. Like, the Earth itself was being torn apart, and even Nibiru suffered severe damage. So it wasn't like just Nibiru got off scot-clean. They were hit hard too. So it impacted that planet as well.
How many years does it take for it to come back around?
25,000, they say.
Okay.
25,000. I don't know where we're at in that cycle, but we might be real close, or I don't know. Like, when you say real close, it's like, okay, if we're 1,000 years,
that's a couple generations down. Yeah.
But if it's like today, you know, because they talk about it, you know, because
we would already be hit by the gravitational pull. Yeah.
I don't know, because they say they're able to spot Nibiru now on a telescope. Like, you could see it, like, you know, you could see that planet on some kind of telescope peeping out. So it's been identified as like one of the planets now.
Yeah,
you got to look into as far as them acknowledging it. But now, after 40 days, 40 nights, the 41st day, it just stopped. Everything just stopped. The rain stopped. Ocean's calm. The clouds opened up. There was sun. The Asutra opened the hatch to investigate. Light came into the ark, and the rest of the hatches opened, and all they saw was an endless ocean sea of nothingness, just the water. There was nothing. So now you think it's over, and you're like, okay, it stopped. You could breathe. You open up the hatch. There's sun. But now you look out, you're on this boat, and there's nothing. There's just endless water. Like, there's the only thing that's survived is, I guess, the fish. You know, the fish in the water, the marine life. They might have just
marine life gets affected too, because a lot of marine life, they get washed up, and a lot of marine life follow a lot of different currents and different heat waves in different areas of the Earth. It's not like it's all they just stick there. They get lost. They won't be able to repopulate. Which
their radars, their sonar, they based on the poles. So if the poles are swapped, they're swapped. Their whole antenna system.
The ears bleed. They have to bleed.
Yeah, exactly. So maybe nothing. It was, maybe there was maybe
a whole fresh restart.
The deepest parts of the ocean, there was some stuff that was obviously, things did survive. Like, it wasn't like everything died, because there was even other humans that were found. So
how the fuck did you?
Yeah,
fuck, dude, it was fucking wild.
So now they don't know what's out there, where they're gonna find. So they were instructed to go north and try to find the highest peak mountain, and that's where Enki was gonna meet them if they survived.
Sounds familiar. I love this. I don't know if you remember that 1990s movie Waterworld, where
Kevin Costner.
The girl with that tattoo has the same thing. The world is filled with water, and at the corner, follow north, you'll be able to find the only island with a peak mountain. And I sent you the image of the tattoo. Oh,
that's what you sent me.
That's the tattoo I sent. Dude, that's an old movie, and it's great. It's great.
Very old. They're basing it off of this story. I don't know if they're basing it off the Bible story or if they're basing it off the Sumerian story, but this is what he was told: to go north, find the highest mountain peak, and meet there. And they were months and months. They were out there like looking for land. And then Noah's the Asutra, he would send out doves and ravens to go fly and search and see if they could find land. And they would keep coming back empty-handed. Like, they basically come back with nothing. And it was like all hope was being lost until finally one day, one of the doves came back with an olive branch. So I guess that's how the olive branch and the dove came into being. What a way to end us. You know about the olive branch, right? So
what a novella. You know what a novella is? A
novel, story.
Novella.
It's like a romance thing. Yes, the soap opera.
Novella. Yeah,
it's total novella. That's why I'm telling it in this version. It's like a story time act. We're sitting around the campfire. So
this is amazing.
Yes, so now he sees the olive branch and he's like, "There's land. Like, land is exposed. He got the branch. We go north." So they kept going north, and then they found the tip of the island, which was now the tip of a mountain. The top of the mountain became this little island. It's like Gilligan's Island now.
One island in the entire world.
This is where they found, they found something. They found some site of land, and it was the tip of the mountain, which was an island. And what that mountain was really one of the bases, one of the Anunnaki bases, like a base station for them. So that's where he was instructed to go. And so they went there, and then they landed on the land, and then they got off the boat, and everybody was just praising and on their knees, completely just overjoyed to be surviving, and the only humans that were left. And they were going to start the world again. And as a show of appreciation, Noah, he was sacrificing a lamb. He was making a sacrifice in Enki's honor, because Enki was the one who told him and saved his life, and he was his god. It was also his father. So that's a real twist on the story, because in the story, the God tells Noah about the boat, but really it's Enki, and Enki is his father. Like he's telling his son. So even
more of a contrast there.
Yeah, even more of like a difference. Now they're roasting this lamb, and now Enki and Enlil, they're in their little scout ship surveying the lands to see, because the water, they did see the water was receding, and so they could see just like mud and just like just nothing alive. Everything was just buried. All the people, all the cattle, everything was just buried under fucking tons and tons of mud and fucking water. They're looking for land that they could start coming back to and build on. Is there anything that we can build on? They're going around, and then they see the smoke from the fire that Sutra is burning. Enlil smells the burning meat. They must have been on the other side of the island. So he sees the smoke and he smells the meat, and he's looking at Enki, and he's like, how is this possible? Like, how is somebody cooking meat right now? They're all dead. And he's looking at Enki sideways, like, what did you do? Like, what did you do that you're up to that you're not telling me? And Enki's like, let's just go investigate. Let's see what's going on over there. So then they go in the ship, and then they see everything. They see the Ziusudra Noah. They see the families, the Ark. They see the Anunnaki guide. And he looks at Enki, and he's like, you warned them. He's like, and you gave them one of our own. He's like, you broke your oath. And he lunges at him. He's freaking got murder in his eyes, and they start clashing, and he's like, just like gonna kill him. And Enki's like, no, he's like, it's not. He's like, he's my son. He's like, that is my son. He's like, he's royalty. He's not immortal. He's my son. And I had a vision. I had a dream. And the messenger they call Galzu, he's like, he gave me the tablet. He told me humanity is supposed to live. It's by the God, the creator of all, decided this. And Enlil's like, what? Like, what the like, that's your son? And what, this vision? And so he's like, back off. He's stunned. And then they get a report from the ships that there was other humans that they saw survived on rafts. They had these rafts that they makeshifted to survive, barely alive, I guess, but they found a way. Like nature finds a way. The humans found a way. So Enki's like, you see, it's not even just my interference. Like, this is the fate of the creator, that humans are supposed to thrive, and they're supposed to inherit this earth. And so Enlil, in the story, he acquiesced, and they embrace. Enlil goes over to Ziusudra, and he hugs him, and he says that, okay, I get it, I accept it, and it's understood. It's fate that brought them here. So then the last thing is that they have a sit down with the council to decide how to move forward with this. And they explain everything to Anu, how it went, and then what Enki did, and the vision he had from Galzu the messenger. And so Anu was like, okay, this is the fate of the earth. So from now on, we are going to support humanity. We're going to teach them our ways. We're going to show them how to prosper. We're going to show them the secrets of the universe, and give them our knowledge. And then let them rise up, and then we'll leave when we go back to Nibiru. But this is the new order. We're going to actually help humanity, and we're going to build them up. This starts the next civilization of where all this stuff came into be, because now the Anunnaki weren't just treating us as labor force slaves. They were actually now teaching us their ways of the universe. So, but Enlil's like, we can't do this. They'll rise up and take over. We'll be their slaves if we do this. And so he had a compromise. Anu agreed that they wouldn't show the humans the secret to everlasting life. That was the one secret they were going to hold back. So we're saying the humans would live like 120 years old. That's what they'd be their lifespan. And if they were a half breed, they would live much, much longer. But they wouldn't give them the secret to thousands and thousands and thousands of years. But what was happening was the Anunnaki that were on Earth, they were starting to age because they were spending all these years on Earth. They were becoming like the Earth. And now they were aging. And so their own father, I don't know, he looked much younger than his own children now because the Anki and all them, they were starting to age. They were getting wrinkles. And they realized that the longer they stayed on Earth, they were becoming more like humans and mortal, and humans were becoming more like them. It was like they were merging with each other. But they say it wasn't even safe for them to go back to Nibiru because if they went back, it would be too intense and that might kill them. So they were kind of stuck on Earth, and they still had like the elixirs and the potions to stay alive much longer than humans, but they were being affected by the Earth's atmosphere rotation and just the way it is over here. So they were aging, and now this what's that?
Nature was taking its course with them too.
Yeah, I mean Nibiru, they lived hundreds of thousands of years, and they know how to keep going because they had all the science to actually preserve their youth, and they use that here, but it wasn't for eternity. So now, once again, this starts the beginning of this next age. So now humanity's wiped out again. It's like that whole civilization that started with Adam, it's gone. Like that's gone. Right. Now it starts with the Noahs, the Asutra, those people and whoever was left over. And now they start breeding and multiplying. And now the Anunnaki are teaching them. So this is where all the agriculture and all the arts, all the literature, all the society stuff became a part of the daily life of humans now because they were being taught all this. And this is where now the first humans were anointed as kings and queens. They were actually giving them royalty status and anointing them. This is where the Egypts and the pharaohs and all those stories come from, because now the humans were, and the half-breeds, the half-breeds, the demigods, were being anointed as kings. And now they want to they get greedy. The humans get greedy. They want to rule over lands and be worshipped as gods.
And then the beginning of modern day history.
Beginning of modern day history. And it was a thriving time. Humanity was just, this is where the spurt went from like turbocharged, like man to nothing, to freaking civilized, sophisticated civilization was like, boom, it just happened and no science can explain it. This is what was going on. They were being taught and things were great. And even Enlil and Enki's clans were at peace. They weren't divided until their kids. Now their kids started getting restless, and they wanted to be worshipped, and they wanted their own lands to rule over, and they had their own power hunger, and that started creating tension between the clans, and that just escalated. And then eventually they went to war, and the next chapter is how they went to war, and now the weapons of mass destruction were used and wiped out the earth again, and then again we got
the next chapter.
Yeah,
of this
that's gonna be the next
episode.
Story. So that's the flood, dude.
The flood was the ending and the beginning of our modern day today, and the beginning of the weapons of mass destruction. And I cannot wait until you bring that up next month.
It's technology that did it, not just nature.
I hear you. I want to thank you again for presenting the beautiful fucking story, bro. And giving us you fucking filled my cup with so much information. Now cannot wait until the listeners take a listen to the show. Again, let them know where they can find you with this amazing presentation of the Chronicles of Our Creation here at Paranoid Radio Podcast. Let them know one more time where they can find you, bro.
They can find me floating around on Paranoid Radio comments. They can find me on my page, Renegade Family of Light. You don't even have to worry about the underscores. Just put Renegade Family Light and I'll come up. There's really no one else with that name. And you can find me at Rogue One Media for media production. And then, hey, like I say every time, if there's something that triggers a question response or something that you want to say, jump in the comments and say it, and let's get a conversation going. And if you're against it, tell us why and bring some facts or bring something to back it up, and we'll hash it out, because that's what we're trying to do here.
That's what it's all about.
Get to the truth. So
hopefully
we're sparking some people's minds to start thinking and questioning things.
Thank you so much. Renegade Family of Light on Instagram. Make sure you check them out, or you could also find them on paranoidradio.com. Ladies and gentlemen, I want to thank you guys so much for being here today. This is Paranoid Radio Podcast. Drop a 5-star review on Apple Podcasts. That allows other people to enjoy the show as much as I enjoy making it. And JB, thank you one more time for being here. I cannot wait until this production comes out. And it comes out episode 196. The countdown that continues for episode 200. And I want you to be 199. This is the official invitation. 199th episode with JB, Flash, and Morph.
Lock
red
it
pill
up,
heavy
dude.
hitters.
That's gonna be
So
a
I'm just gonna work
fucking
out the dates with
blast.
you guys. Yeah, that's gonna
That's
be.
gonna be a monster. I can't wait, dude. That's like
Thank you
coming
so
up
much,
right around the
brother.
corner.
Yeah, a couple of weeks, baby.
Yeah, blow your fucking mind.
Paranoid Radio.